Hi everyone. So we're in the month of March and we thought it would be only right. It's International Women's Month for us to do an episode on women in the workplace and especially the difficulties of being a black woman in the workplace and also what positive things can come out of being a woman or black woman in the workplace. So I'm going to start off about an experience that I had. In one of my roles, I worked in a male management team. So part of the management team, they were all male and I was the only female. And something that often happened, and some people may be able to relate to this, is that, you know, when you're saying something, you raise a point and it's like no one doesn't hear, they don't really hear what you're saying until the man says it. Yeah. So the problem that I had is because I was surrounded by all men, it will be like, I'm saying this point, I think we should do this. And then my colleague will come and say, yeah, I think whatever. And I literally just, and I was like, but that's the point I literally made. And
so would you say, I just said that
point? Yeah, literally. Like, so the first time, I kind of didn't do it.
Yeah.
I just said, okay, whatever. I was just like, okay. And then it happened numerous times. And I was just like, but I literally just made that point. Mm-hmm. And it's like everyone would just be quiet. And I'm like, and I think it's because they were all men. And I think they were all in a similar situation. Maybe they just weren't really hearing what I was saying. I don't know what it was. But I felt really like alone. Because I was just like, I literally just said it to the point that I would have to be like, okay, that's the point I made. And these are like, and further on from that point, it's to show that I did make that point, and this is where I was going with it, and this is the outcomes and actions. And
okay, so when you use that technique, how did it change their listening and their receptiveness to what you're saying?
It took a while for them to eventually kind of listen, but it still wasn't like seamless, if that makes sense. I feel like they had to get to a point where they were conscious that numerous times they haven't really listened, so it's like they had to make a conscious effort to it. It wasn't natural to them, and it was unfortunate. And before anyone said anything, like everyone in the team, they were all ethnic, so it was nothing to do with race or anything like that. It was literally, for me, I felt like it was a gender thing.
Yes.
And it is very hard when you're kind of like, you have a lot of strong personality because it's men in a situation. But I think what you need to do is persevere and not kind of go back into because my initial thing was just like, I can't bother with this, but persevere and like kind of just continue to make that point.
But okay, so you initially felt like I can't be bothered, right? Is that how you really felt? Was that like a defense kind of mechanism?
I think it was a defense mechanism.
How were you really feeling?
I felt like, I wanted to cuss and say things. Honestly, it's a professional environment. and I'm a child of God. So there was a lot of things, but it was really, really frustrating. But there was one point I said to my colleague, I'm not being funny. Do you not understand what I'm saying? Because
but it's true. You have to.
I had to. I was like, do you not understand what I'm saying?
And then what did they say to you? Put them on the spot. What did they say?
And he was just like, no, They didn't really give me the answer.
So they just basically wouldn't listen. They wouldn't be hearing.
Yeah, they just wouldn't like. I just wasn't.
Have you, as a man, witnessed that happen and play out in meetings?
No. So yes and no. So okay. I'm not saying I'm a pot stirrer or troublemaker, but I'm the type of person that likes to say, "Oh, that sounds a lot like Stella's point."
Okay,
now. I also say that just to see what happens.
Yeah.
but part of me saying it because it's not only because I'm male or female. I'm a very dominant personality, even for other guys.
Yeah.
Right. So even just like so from my perspective, I won't say that.
Alpha male.
I'm not gonna say that. I'm just saying I'm a very dominant personality, and I'm very extroverted. And that's the other thing as well. And so I'm very conscious that people that are typically introverts may not always be heard, and so it's important to get everybody's opinion. Yeah. So what I do, and now it's a little bit easier with Zoom. I message people and say, hey, should I set you up? Do you want to speak?
Mm-hmm.
So I can do it with Zoom. I can private message someone via the chat. Mm-hmm. Now. In person, I often had the thing where someone would try and say something and someone else would speak, and I would say, no, I thought Stella was trying to speak. And then when I say that, instead of me telling her, I said, nah, I don't want to talk no more. So
But okay.
That's not all the time.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, I don't know. It's hard.
So as a man, you're saying, you know, you've tried a few things. You're not sure
what. I think the biggest thing is trying.
It's trying, right? Okay, so let's play it out. Of those two techniques that Francis mentioned, if you had those on hand, you had someone in the room that was doing what Francis was doing, those two techniques. Of those two techniques, would that have helped you?
Yeah, I think
which one?
I think the first point in terms of what you said. Oh, isn't that the point that Stella just made? I think that's so key because you know sometimes you think like, am I mad? Like, am I going mad? Did I not? But then you have someone that's like actually validating that you actually made that point.
Yeah.
And so then at least you can then feel like, okay, actually now people are listening.
Yeah.
Now I've got a platform.
A man has
someone brought me in, and if a man brings me, it's even better because then you feel like, okay, for some reason in certain workplaces environment, men are heard first, and that's the reality of it. Not all environments, but it's very common. So I think in that situation, that would have been great. Like I was cool with my colleagues, but and I didn't have any like bad relationship with them, but they just probably just didn't see it. Like they just didn't.
So that kind of allyship would have helped.
Yes, exactly. And I think maybe like male or female, but in the workplace, if you see some of these things, I think it is important for you to like speak out and say things like it's not been like confrontational, but just say the facts as it is. Like, oh, didn't this person say this kind of thing? I'm an introvert as well, so I feel like there's layers to this. And in terms of what you said in regards to sending the message, if I'm cool with you, you send me the message, I can just be like, nah, I'm not going to say nothing. But if I'm not cool with you, I'm going to be like, oh, now he's asked me, I have to say something. Do you know what I mean? So it's just like, but I hear what you're saying. But I think that's more the introvert in me rather than the gender kind of side of things and things like that. But I've noticed that in my role now, my manager does bring me in a lot. Like he will say things like, okay, Stella, have you got anything else to say? Whatever, and things like that. So it is helpful.
Like round robins are a really good way to do it, right? You go around the room, everybody has an opportunity to speak and are heard. And that's typically how my manager does things as well, so that he knows everyone equally has time to speak as well. I think that's a good.
I think that's I think that is good practice. So if you're in sort of like management teams or you're chairing a meeting, maybe these are some of the things that you can implement so that people feel heard in general. Because I'm pretty sure that this situation of not being heard, it's not only from a gender perspective, it can come from different perspectives. But I think there was probably times when people felt like they haven't been heard. But so I think like, I mean, there are times where sometimes you kind of want to, when someone says those kind of things, you kind of want to react in a way. But as you know, like, there's this stereotype in it when
they break it down, says what kind of things? What are we talking about?
So like, for example, if like, remember I said before that I wanted to cast but obviously sometimes you can react in a way that is sort of like professional, but they know that actually I'm a bit but this angry black woman, this aggressive black woman thing always plays in my mind because I'm not that person, but I know that you're gonna think that just because I've raise my voice, or just because I sound a little bit irritated, or they'll be like, oh, calm down, like, I'm calm. So I feel like there's a lot of things that play in these situations that we always have to think about before we react. That's why sometimes you can't always react in the way that you want to react. Your first instinct. Like, you're not going to go all hood on them, but you kind of want to, do you know what I mean? So
you don't even need to go with this, just even that just elevation of your voice as a black person.
And being expressive, because the thing is, like, we're expressive, like, people are expressive in general, but sometimes it's perceived in a different way when it comes from someone that looks like me. And that is sometimes some of the struggles that I've had. But I would say that was more, as I've progressed in my career, I think I've kind of not let those barriers kind of like, so, I mean, what I would say is that don't let certain barriers stop you during the workplace. I mean, during work, because I think a lot of the time we come to work and we're like, oh my gosh, you know, you're thinking about your woman, your black, all these things, and sometimes it can just derail you. So what I have done is that I haven't tried to define myself to my job or what I do in work, and I've tried to bring certain things I do outside of work, and I do a lot of things outside of work. So for example, I got nominated the top 50 women in accounting. This was something.
Come on. Champions. Oh, top 50. Wow.
Yeah, so that was external to work.
And that helped you inside work?
That helped me inside work because it's actually funny because like when I joined my most recent team, I didn't bring it in, but then someone that follows me on LinkedIn was like, oh, yeah, but study your top 50 women in accounting. And my director was like, oh, so it kind of changed how people started to like view me. Okay. And they're like, okay, do you know, even though I might not be this person that's always speaking up or saying certain things, they know that actually there's substance to her. There's obviously something that people have recognized outside that has and it kind of gives people more, how can I say, more way to like hear what you're saying.
So you heard more, or people more receptive to listening to you now.
Yes, exactly. And it's unfortunate you have to do that, but sometimes that's what you have to do. You have to play on your strength, play on things that you can do inside and outside the workplace. It can be projects that you work on. There can be other stakeholders that you interact with that can advocate for you or say certain things for you. And I'm really key about advocates in the workplace.
Advocates, sponsors. I think we should get into sponsors. I think that's a really important thing.
Yeah, I mean, sponsors or mentors, because everybody wants to be your mentor. Yeah. But then like very few people are willing to actually be a sponsor.
Absolutely. No. And do we get the difference between sponsors and mentors?
I would love for you to define that.
All right. So for me, a mentor is kind of maybe just one level above me, someone that I look up to at work, and they will just tell me, okay, this is the steps I took to get to the next position. This is typically what I did. A sponsor is somebody that's probably a few levels higher than you, is a key decision maker, and somebody that will go into different rooms and advocate for you and say, I want Liz to go into this position, or Liz is really good at this. I think we should give her this opportunity. And it'll be typically things that are not even advertised, for example. It'll be opportunities that probably haven't been spoken about openly yet, but they're going into the rooms and they're dropping your name in different places and they're telling you about the next opportunities that's coming up so you can prepare yourself. And that's what you want, someone that will literally, because of their level and because of their credibility, if they mention my name in a room, people are going to be like, yeah, because so-and-so mentioned her name. Yeah. She's a key candidate or somebody that I need to be connected with.
So with sponsors, I totally agree with you. They're amazing. It's worked well for me. But what I wanted, because I think Fancy were alluding to it, there are a lot of people that want to be mentored, but then, like, how do you get a sponsor?
Yeah. How do you
get a sponsor?
Because
and how do you know the sponsor's a good sponsor?
I've had a scenario, and obviously, I've had a scenario where, like, I've been the only black guy in the room, and someone said they were my sponsor. Until I saw this was a black woman, and she was a sponsor for a couple of people, and she just changed the whole game, and it made me realize, oh, this person was never a sponsor.
The person you had.
Yeah, the person I had was never a sponsor. Yeah. He was a mentor.
Okay.
He only gave me advice. He didn't open doors. This black woman came in, and you know who you are, because I will send you this. And she just changed. She's phenomenal. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And because not even all stuff she's done for me, because she didn't really do anything for me in particular, but what I saw her do for other people made me realize
what a true sponsor is.
What a true sponsor is. So how do you get a sponsor? Yeah. Or you just have to wait for a black woman to get into a senior position? That's what it is.
Because I am hearing a lot about black women in senior positions being great sponsors, and also even in like HR positions, advocating for other black women to get the right salaries and things like that. And so I think what we're saying is we definitely do need
more black women.
You know what? The thing is, I think
give us more black women.
You know what? We're very nurturing as it is, right?
We're nurturing, and
we're about building community,
and empowering. And one of the things that I've made sure I've done is, like, when I've got into positions of leadership or positions of management, I've tried to bring people up all the time. And I think, as you said, I think it's our nature to do that. As a woman, it's our nature to nurture whatever. As a black woman as well, it's even more. Do you know what I mean? Because we've been doing it for generations. And I think it's really important that when we get to a position, don't pull up the ladder. Do you know what I mean? Bring the ladder down. Allow people to climb up.
But how do you get a sponsor?
So do you know what?
How do you get a sponsor? Because not every company have black women in C-level positions.
Yeah, the majority do not.
Do you know what? Yeah,
and none of my sponsors have ever been.
So and there's other people that's willing to be sponsors that are not black women.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how do we get them to?
I've got a good scenario, a good example.
Okay, so one thing I would say is that we're not necessarily saying your sponsor has to be a black woman or even has to be a woman,
good.
but it'll be amazing. But as a woman in the workplace, any race, any woman, try and get a sponsor because that would help you in your career massively. So with me, my sponsor actually, it was kind of not organic, but basically used to be one of my managers before. So I had a really good relationship with my manager, and then she went up the ranks, whatever, director level and stuff like that. And we've always maintained. So because she's worked with me, she will speak about me in rooms. She helped me get promotion and stuff like that. So I think one of the key things build good relationships with people. You don't know where people are gonna go. Try and build good relationship with people in your team, or people that you see that actually this person they're gonna go far. So keep those relationships and have that relationship. That's what I would say in terms. Well, that's what I done in my situation. So that's one way. Don't despise small beginnings because you don't know where people are coming from, where they're coming from. But then just keep those relationships. That's what I would say. That's what I've done. But there's obviously different ways. You said you have an example.
In my case, my sponsor just became a sponsor. It wasn't like I asked it. It kind of happened in that, and the way it happened was just for a conversation. But it was what happened in that conversation. And this is the thing: she's not a black woman, right? But what happened in that conversation is I connected with her on a different level because of our backgrounds. Okay. And because I was doing something around D&I in the workplace, and I had brought her on. I said, I want you to do a spotlight. And I want you to just talk about, that you're in a senior position, how you got there. I didn't even know that she was originally from South London, London. And she spoke about being in South London and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, that's fantastic. I also spoke about this in team meetings, and I was really happy that you contributed to this D&I initiative, etc. And, told the team about our senior, and was like, she has had a journey of social mobility. So we had a one-on-one conversation. She really loved the fact that, and how I kind of spoke about that and how I understood about the background. She started telling me about, how her come up, and how when she told people that she wanted to be a lawyer, they were just like, we don't become lawyers. People from our background don't become lawyers. And she was just like, from that point, I was like, that's it. I'm smashing it. I'm going to go forward. Okay. But because of that, in that conversation, she started talking to me about leadership programs she wants me to go on. And, this is just after I've returned back from work after a period of leave. And she's just like, you might not be ready now, but I want you to go for these leadership programs. And then I started talking, similar to what Stella was saying about bringing in things you do from outside. I started talking to her about the fact that I'm a non-executive director. I also spoke about the fact that I'm a magistrate. She's like, does everybody know about this? You're making me feel bad because I don't do as much as you do. That point, when she said that, it's like she's seen my value and she's seen it long term as well. And she's seen what I can bring to it, because I was talking about all the leadership qualities that I'm gaining from being this director outside. And it's not necessarily the things I can gain in my role now, but it's things I can bring into it. She's seeing my value. And then she's just kind of become my sponsor just like that. And she's at the right level to make those decisions. So the key of what I'm talking about is, we may not have black women, but we are women, and there's so many ways that we can connect with another woman. We just need to find that thing.
No, it's true. And I feel like, so what we're saying is about building relationships, speaking to people. I don't know, in some organizations you can have book coffee chats with people. So try and do that.
Coffee chats
and things like that.
Also join the initiatives. There are companies that are trying to do initiatives right now, and through those initiatives you could get a sponsor. So typically they're doing things, it might be reverse mentoring and stuff like that, but then within that some of these programs they expose you to sponsors, so people that could organically become your sponsors. Go on those programs, do not shun them, don't think you're not good enough, just apply and go on them. So definitely get your exposure out there.
And so I guess this is one of the biggest things. A good sponsor is someone that sees you as not a friend, but like a little sister, little brother. Someone that's like, I invested in your success. And it's and by you connecting with them on a real level, a human being level, it helps them say, do you know what, let me make sure that I help this person win in whatever way possible. Now, you have to be a bit vulnerable. Because I know that some of us are very guarded at work.
A lot of us.
No, but it's true.
But away from that, this is something that I've noticed, that we do not advocate enough for ourselves and say, this is what I've done, I'm amazing. And I feel that, and this is just generalization, but guys are way better at saying,
absolutely,
I just took the bin out. Did everybody see that? Can I get my round of applause, please? Do you know what I mean? I need standing ovation. Come on, people, up on your feet. And I feel that women need to do more of that. And so send an email of a summary of the project you just worked on to the person that's doing the project and 2 levels above. And what you're doing is you're saying, here's a summary. Now then you write 2 lines about how it would affect the whole business unit. So it's not the whole, so you write the summary, it's for everybody else.
Yeah.
The 2 lines is for the executive that's 2 levels above to say, here's how it's going to affect the whole business unit and how we can implement it. I would love to have a discussion with you about this if needed or whatever it may be. And you're doing that every quarter. And so your name's always ringing bells that this person's doing stuff. Yeah. Now, you may never get to do all the initiatives that you're writing about, but you're updating them saying, this is what I've been doing. Here's how this has had an effect on the holistic aim of the business. Here's what I've done today, how it's going to affect the business in the next year, 2 years. You know, that those sort of things make a really big difference. Yeah. Guys do it all the time. All the time. And they'll say they did something that you did.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
I sent an email out and it's gone so senior, you're not going to turn around and reply back and say, oh, you didn't do that, it's too late.
Yeah.
I think on that point, it's very key to keep having the right conversations with like your manager, your line managers and those above you about what you just drop it into conversation because it really happens a lot where other guys, men, claim to do what you've done. Yeah. So I
because you didn't claim it, so they'll claim it.
Yeah, but the thing that I do, I'm not like out there like that. Like everything you just said is giving me like doing that.
So I'm saying some people feel it once a year. But
but they've done it right. Yeah,
so important.
But I think for me, like what I've kind of learned to do is when I have one-to-ones with my line manager, I'm literally saying I drop it as a joke. But then in the joke, I'm saying, so this is what I had to end up doing. And the impact of that was X, Y, and Z. That way I don't feel like I'm being like, oh, this is what I did, etc. But he's recognizing and seeing, oh, behind that joke, she's actually solved this problem and she's telling me about it. And the other thing that I've started to do as well is, and this is probably a whole another episode, so I won't go into it. But if you're working with at peer level on something similar, right? You need to be able to know that what you're doing is being owned by, you're owning it and it's being recognized that it's being owned by you and not somebody else. Yeah. And also recognize maybe you're coming in or that person's got more experience in it. They're definitely going to try and keep stuff to themselves. How do you price that away because you're supposed to be doing it? So with men, that's really, really difficult. It's so difficult. And what I had to do is I was just like, do you know what? As much as I like this peer, I'm telling my manager straight away, I'm saying, listen, my duties are not clear cut because somebody's not giving me the work and I need that work. I'm not waiting to year end for them to start telling me, oh, I'm underperforming, you should have come to me. No. True. So I said it and I said it in line, the line manager one-to-one meetings and in front of everybody. Good. I make it very obvious so that everybody knows that you're holding on to work. And what came of that is that they were like, yeah, we're going to have sessions where it's dedicated. Liz has raised good points. We need to make sure there's clear segregation, etc., etc. We need to do all of these things, but we need to advocate for ourselves.
We have to advocate for ourselves. You have to be bold. You have to be, when I say bold, just saying as it is. Yeah. Say what you're doing. Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes we shy away and we're like, oh, but they can see what I'm doing. No, not necessarily. No. And if everyone else is shouting about what they're doing, if you're not shouting about it, it looks like you're not doing it. Yeah. So even if you're just saying what you do, just do that. And I think as women, like some of the key takeaways we should take from today is don't define yourself to everything that you do at work. Bring out other things that you're doing outside of work
and shout about it.
Shout about it. Try and get a sponsor, like proper sponsor, effective sponsor, and advocate for yourself in the workplace for the work that you do. Sometimes we underestimate that what we're doing. We just think, little things. You think it's just your day job. Oh, I'm just doing this, but then everyone else is saying, oh, I'm doing this and this, but you're doing the same thing. So just say it, like do it. And as Francis said, sometimes you have to be direct. Write down what you
send the email.
Or you doing what Francis did, but you could do this route of, I just want some feedback about how I'm doing, and then you get that, and you're just like, oh, this is what people are saying about me, and you share it. It's fine.
How can we make this better for the business?
Better for the business, exactly.
Considering that I've done A, B, and C and laid the foundation.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
That's amazing.
There's more we can do.
That's amazing.
And you bring it to your line managers like that, etc.
But go above your line manager.
Oh yeah, go above your line manager.
I'm thinking 2 levels above. Like let the world know.
Depending on where you work and the structure. But you know what works for you. Just talk to the right person.
Okay. We appreciate your time. Thank you very much for listening to us. Stella, do you have anything to add?
No, I was just going to say that, as we said, it's International Women's Month. I hope that you find this encouraging and empowering. And as I said, use your strength as a woman to, get what you need to get. Because we have got the power, remember. All right, take care.
All right, cool. Take care.
Bye.